just, I don't want to make the other dudes here feel jealous, and I don't want to take their wives and girlfriends, but I just decided to go shirtless. I hope it doesn't cause like a riot. It is 2020. Let's see if this sounds familiar. A greenhorn undercover cop uses a woman who works at a restaurant to get in with a gang whose leader has sort of a Zen quality about him and his thoughts on life and family, friendship, and what that means. But it turned, and he's going undercover because there's been a string of robberies, and he's getting in with this gang to try and figure out who it is that's doing it. But of course, it's the gang that he infiltrates, and his new friend, his Zen friend, is the bad guy. You might think I'm talking about The Fast and the Furious, which for some reason has 15 sequels, while Point Break has none. It has a crappy remake, that's it. But I'm here at the beach, Leo Carrillo Beach, where the presidents hung out in between their heists. In fact, that's the whole reason they did heists, is so they could afford to surf. Right up the road is the restaurant. The restaurant that Johnny Utah, Keanu himself, goes and meets with Lori Petty to try and convince her to teach him how to surf. And of course I mentioned how The Fast and the Furious mirrors the plot of Point Break. It also mirrors some of the locations too, because there's a scene in the original one where Dom, Vin Diesel, and the late Paul Walker, their bromance blossom with a little meal by the sea there at the Neptune's Net, which has been called that since the mid-70s. And those were certainly not the only two movies to have scenes there. Iron Man 3 had a scene there. The show Gossip Girl had a scene there. Losing It with Tom Cruise, several things. And, Johnny Utah and his pals definitely did not. In fact, that was the original name of the screenplay, is Johnny Utah. Then it was Riders on the Storm, but the Doors movie came out. But Johnny Utah and his pals definitely did not follow the rules of the beach, because there's a big sign over there that says no fires. But that didn't stop them from having a late-night bonfire, doing a little partying, Point Break style. Including a little night football game where Johnny Utah himself, Keanu, he tackles Swayze into the waves of the ocean. You can cut the sexual tension with the red pill from The Matrix. Point Break was directed by Catherine Bigelow, who makes two types of movies. In recent years, she makes movies that get nominated and win Academy Awards, but earlier on she made fantastic schlock action pieces. Point Break was developed by a guy who was sitting on the beach reading an article about a robbery and got the idea. Somebody else wrote the screenplay, and then later on Catherine wrote it with her one-time husband, our cinema savior himself, James Cameron. He's a producer in the film, but he did a lot of writing on Point Break, really jacked up the action and that climax after climax, upping one another, kind of James Cameron style. He did not get credit on it. He was not real happy about him and Catherine not getting writing credit, but he was busy making a little movie, a little indie film for Carlico called Terminator 2 Judgment Day, so he didn't press the issue. But Point Break is a great action movie with a great cast. It's the second time that Keanu Reeves has starred in a movie with a member of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The other is My Own Private Idaho. All the surfing scenes were real and that they were done by, real surfers. In fact, some of the presidents were actual surfers, not Keanu and Swayze. There's, of course, the skydiving stuff, which also is a mixture of real and fake. They had this gyro set up to let them do their lines and make it seem like they were skydiving. But Swayze was a real skydiver, and he did. The insurance wouldn't allow him to do a lot, but he was allowed to do one take. So the take where he does his line and then jumps out of the plane, that was really Swayze doing a jump. He was an experienced skydiver, but insurance people being insurance people. Now, that's the official story for them. But Swayze, this is a guy who started in Roadhouse. He's a man who goes above and beyond. He worked in-depthly with skydiving photographer Tom Sanders. He went out with him. Swayze presented to him that he was, going to pay for the film just as long as Tom could provide the camera. And they went out for a couple days, did somewhere around 55 jumps. They would fly out of Page and then Skydive over Lake Powell, which itself has been used in several movies. Even though the studio was happy with the skydiving footage that was being done, Swayze just wanted to go even beyond that. They did a lot of tracking shots and deployments and exits. I mean, this is a guy who played Dalton in Roadhouse. He wanted that skydiving footage to grab you by the throat. Now, of course, this was a Hollywood production, which means, it was filmed at several different beaches all up and down the Pacific coast, but several bits were filmed here, such as the scene where Keanu gets into a fight with some local surfers, and Patrick Swayze goes full Roadhouse to help him out. So yeah, Point Break, it did okay at the box office, became a huge hit in the home rental market, which was big at the time. I think it was #1 for 5 weeks straight. Became a real cult classic, was remade, but that remake is forgotten, but the original will always be remembered. So I'm gonna go ahead, hopefully Swayze and Keanu's here. I don't want to put them to shame with my untoned body that hasn't seen sunlight in days, but I'll see you later.
HawkSchlock,